Hello, and welcome to this informational video on what to expect when traveling to the United States as a new F1 student. In this video, we will review the expectations for F1 students and how to have a smooth arrival at the port of entry. As you are preparing to start your academic program at USF, there are a couple things to keep in mind. When you are planning your travel, do not arrive more than 30 days before the program start date on your I-20. Also, please make sure you have your DSO's name and contact information in case there are any complications when you arrive. Additionally, do not pack items such as live plants or food, particularly pork products. Also, something to keep in mind is that if you are carrying money with a monetary value of over $10,000, please be prepared to explain why you are traveling with a large amount of money to the port of entry officers. You must also gather essential immigration documents to present to the port of entry official. This includes your passport with a valid visa, your I-20, a copy of the I-901 SEVIS fee receipt, proof of enrollment like your acceptance letter, for example, and proof of funding such as family bank statements or financial aid or scholarship letters. Please remember that you must have these documents with you at all times. They must be ready to be shown once you arrive in the United States. Do not pack these documents in any checked luggage. Please remember to print out your I-20 and sign it at the bottom of page 1. When you first arrive in the United States, you will be required to go through the port of entry. If you are not directly flying to Tampa and have connecting flights, the first major city that you arrive at will be where you are required to go through the port of entry and meet the CBP officer. So what is a CBP officer? They are a Customs and Border Protection officer who is the official point of contact at the port of entry. CBP controls who enters the U.S. Even though you will have a student visa does not automatically give you entrance to the United States. The CBP officers make the final decision on your admission and determine the length of your stay based on the immigration documents you provide. The port of entry process is fairly straightforward, so here are a few things to expect. When you arrive at the booth, present your immigration documents to the officer. The officer will review your documents, inspect your bags, and ask questions about the purpose of your travel to the U.S. They may ask you what school you will be attending and your academic program, or how you will be funding your tuition. You should answer all of the officer's questions truthfully and concisely. Do not over-explain and add unnecessary details to your answer. If you have multiple visas in your passport, make sure that you present the correct student visa. Sometimes the CBP officer may have problems with verifying your information, or you may have forgotten to include one of the necessary documents. If that is the case, you will be directed to a secondary inspection. Please do not panic. The officer just needs to do more research to verify your information without delaying the travelers behind you in line. In the secondary inspection, you'll be interviewed more, so please comply and be prepared to answer more questions about your program of study. Under certain circumstances, you may be issued an I-515A Notice to Student or Exchange Visitor form. This form authorizes a temporary 30-day admission into the United States. If you are issued this form, notify your DSO as soon as possible. You have a 30-day time frame to work with your DSO to submit any necessary changes or paperwork to the Student and Exchange Visitor Program, or SEVP. Once you have done all the necessary paperwork with your DSO, SEVP will send a letter of approval and you will have access to your electronic I-94 arrival departure record on the CBP website. If during the primary inspection or the secondary inspection all information is verified, the CBP officer will admit you. They may or may not stamp your passport with the date, port of entry location, and expiration of your stay. As an F1 student, you should be given a DS stamp, meaning the duration of status, or until the end of your academic program. If you do not receive a stamp, don't worry. Some ports of entry do not stamp passports. Your CBP officer will update your I-94 arrival departure record, which can be retrieved by going to the CBP I-94 website. You should obtain a copy of your I-94 for your records as soon as possible. Please remember that once you arrive in the United States, you must report to your school and your DSO by the program start date on your I-20 to maintain your status. If you have any more questions or concerns, please refer to the travel page under the Immigration tab on the Office of International Services website. You can also review the information on Study in the States Getting to the United States website, or you may speak to an international student advisor by attending OIS virtual advising hours. This concludes this informational video on the U.S. Port of Entry process for F1 students. We are excited to have you at the University of South Florida. Thanks for watching and see you soon.